Aloha, I'm Welzie, and here are 5 tips and tricks for drawing on a surfboard. I've been drawing on surfboards since I was 15 years old. That was like 100 years ago. So I've been doing this a long time. I've drawn on so many boards for my own, my friends, and professional surfers. And I even do it today here in my art studio. All right, tip number 1 for drawing on a surfboard is making sure that surfboard is clean. This is by far the most important aspect of doing artwork on a surfboard. If there's wax on there, paint's not sticking. Period. Not gonna happen. If you can use a solvent, you can wipe it down. Also, I sand everything down to 320 grit, which is a level of sandpaper that's coarse enough for the pens to get some traction on, but it's not so coarse that the ink runs through the scratches on the boards. For sure, number 1, keep it clean, get the wax off. So number 2, plan out your artwork ahead of time. They're a horizontal landscape. They're about 1:4 ratio, where it's 4 inches long and 1 inch narrow, if that makes sense. So you can scale up your artwork from there. Make sure it's gonna fit on the landscape type composition that a surfboard is, or if it's even going vertical, right? So plan that stuff ahead of time. I use sketches every time. You can see right there. There's a sketch of the piece that I'm doing. I have a reference point every time. I can make mistakes on that. I can try stuff out before going to the surfboard where, you know, if you mess up, there's a lot more at stake than on a piece of paper. All right, tip number 3 is oils versus acrylic. I go with acrylic every time on the board. It works every time. You can do your artwork with like Nova paint, works really well, especially if you're doing it on the foam ahead of time. But if you're drawing on the fiberglass surfboard, POSCA paint pens work. Any sort of acrylic paint markers work great. You can do a crystal clear spray acrylic over it, or you can do a gloss coat is what we do here at the shop. The gloss coat, a lot more involved with that. We can talk about that later. Stick to acrylic pens and you're gonna have a good go, I promise. All right, so tip number 4 is prep your surface. Now I talked about keeping stuff clean, and any problems you have are usually going to come down to how your surface was prepped. So once you get all the wax off your board, that's great. You know, you want to sand it to 320 is a great grit to do. You can clean off any debris or anything with water over your 320 and let it dry, and your acrylic POSCA paint pens can work totally fine on that. If you are in a position where you have a stand-up paddle, like plastic, very plasticky surfboard, and you have to do artwork on it, you're already committed to the job, you can use enamel paint pens. Sharpie makes a great one of those, and you can enamel paint pens over those plasticky type surfaces. So hopefully that helps, and hopefully that isn't like this kind of the same tip as number 1, but I just kind of want to talk about it a little more because most of your problems are going to arrive from there. Tip number 5 is clear coating. Now this is your final step and making sure that your artwork just doesn't get scratched right off the board. If it's acrylic, you use a crystal clear spray acrylic. It works amazing. You don't need that much coats. You know, you spray about 12 inches away or whatever the can says. It only takes 1 light coat or 2 light coats to do it. Don't overdo it. Don't make puddles on the board. Now, if you're like me and I do more the art form aspect where there's a finished art piece that's going to get hung up on the wall, I do a clear coat of resin over it. And what this is called is a gloss polish. It's a resin that we paint over the board. That layer of resin can get sanded and polished out to a really nice shine. It really protects the artwork from getting damaged or anything, and it really highlights the colors as well. Now, it's a little more harder step to do on your own, so chances are you'll probably be spraying. Enamel will work over everything, but I just totally recommend sticking with acrylics. I know those work great. Tried and true, it works every time. Once you start mixing those, that final step, you're gonna start running into problems and you won't know why. And chances are it's just you use acrylic over enamel or vice versa. POSCA paint pens on a sanded 320 surfboard with clear coat, crystal clear acrylic works every time. So if it's your first time doing it, stick with that. If you have any questions too, let me know. I do this stuff all the time, been doing it forever. So happy to help. Shoot your questions down below. Subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions and more videos like this, how to draw on surfboards, how to do any of the stuff, you're starting to see my factory, starting to see what I do, what I make here. All right, hope this helps, and show me what you made. Tag me on Instagram at Welzie_art. All right, aloha, have a good day. You stay inspired.